The last of the week's events of which we shall remind you also concerns a sailor king. On Tuesday, thousands of Norwegians lined the streets of Oslo to watch the funeral procession of their beloved King Haakon. Ivor Jones was there for Radio Newsreel.
On the coffin was a wreath and the king's sword crossed with its sheath. It was flanked by the king's aides-de-camp. Behind it came the royal mourners, heads of state and their representatives. The new sovereign of Norway, King Olaf, the Crown Prince, and the kings of Greece, Belgium, Denmark, and Sweden. They were in full dress uniform with their decorations, and so, a little behind them was the Duke of Gloucester, representing the Queen. There were the presidents of Iceland and Finland, and behind them, the heads of Norway's government, judiciary, and armed forces. But for all their grave pace, they were not long in passing on their way to Oslo's austere and modest cathedral, the center of today's religious ceremonies. And it was to this funeral march by Grieg that King Haakon's coffin was carried from there. The final journey was from the cathedral to the castle of Akershus, perhaps half a mile away, where in a chapel the coffin was laid in his family vault. It was followed there only by the royal and most distinguished mourners, among them Queen Juliana of the Netherlands. So it was a small company that passed through the grounds of the castle, which is to Oslo what the Tower is to London. They went along paths overhung with maples in the gold of autumn, and among those who lined their way were men of the wartime Norwegian resistance movement, which the king had done more than any other man to hearten. They passed the monument that commemorates these freedom fighters who were executed or tortured in this castle. And as they went into the courtyard before the chapel, men of the Norwegian Navy gave their king a valediction proper to the sailor he was. With the chapel organ in the background, they piped their admiral over the side. As the royal coffin was lowered gently into the vault, cannon on the castle's ramparts fired a final salute of 42 guns to the dead king, and were answered across the bright water by the ships beyond.
And with that account of the funeral of the late King Haakon of Norway, we end our review of events of the past week as recorded through Radio Newsreel's microphones. We shall be on the air in the Light programme, as usual, at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening.